The Puma Ultra Ultimate. Which one should you buy? Should you buy the Carbon? Should you buy the AG? Or should you stick with Old Faithful, the FG? Well, let's run you through it and help you make a decision. Let's start with the Carbon because it's just special. This Carbon outsole is absolutely incredible and I love it so very, very much. It's just something else. There is nothing else like this on the market, and if you are a real crazy speed boot head, this is kind of the only option. But it's absolutely insane. Like, it's just not going to be for most people. I even find that the more I use it during kind of like, say, game or something like that, I almost get kind of fatigue in my feet because it is actually so much of an effort to continually fight against this springback. But it just feels so unbelievably special when you're on feet, and it feels aggressive and it feels fast, and like I've said special 100 times, and it's so special. Should you buy it? Probably not. It's just too extreme for what most people are going to want or be comfortable with, and that's almost a shame. But like, it's also 300 euros. It's also a lot more expensive than the other boots, but I can't help but like kind of wax lyrical gush over how unbelievable this outsole is. I absolutely adore it. One thing to bear in mind is that you do get this little bumper that's just here, which is there to just make sure that the Carbon holds on to the upper, and it just means there is a little bit of extra volume in the toe box of the Carbon, so if you don't like that. And I also find the Carbon to run just a little bit slimmer than the other two, so well worth considering those, just with the way that the sole plate impacts the fit. Special, but probably not for everybody, disappointingly. Let's have a look at the FG. So this is the one that most people are going to end up picking up almost by default. This in the volume up pack colorway, which I think is really nice. So this has a great, unbelievable springback. Probably one of the most aggressive and best sole plates on the market when it comes to stud pattern, stud shape, and responsiveness as a package. I just think this is absolutely excellent. This is 100% obviously with the Carbon as well, not a boot that you want to use on an AG pitch. It is way too aggressive, but it's solid, it's stable. I really like it. The springback is excellent, and if you're looking for something that is a real genuine speed boot of the year contender in terms of how the outsole works, it's right here. This is a really nice football boot with a great outsole. It is that little bit wider than the Carbon, again, mainly down to how it's built and how that sole plate sets up. And one thing that I really like is that it is just that little bit less voluminous, has less volume in the toe box area. It just makes me feel a little bit more on my toes, which is an interesting one considering that the uptick, the way that these, I don't know how well to show this, so the boots have a lift in them, like a runner spike to push you onto your toes. It is slightly more prevalent in the Carbon, but I just think that the way you feel when you're trying to change direction with this particular boot, having that lower toe box just feels a lot nicer. For the majority of people, if it's between these two, you should probably pick this. This is just, it's special. I love it. It has a special place in my heart. I love it. It's too nice. I kind of want to take it on a date or something. Be like, it's okay. Don't worry. It's fine that nobody really loves you and wants you to take you out into a game, but I want to keep you. You can stay with me, and we can have all the great times just sprinting around together until I get too tired because the outsole is too stiff and hurts my feet. It's okay. And finally, let's look at the AG plate, which I will tell you pretty much straight out of the box is straight out the gate box. why don't you come out of a box? Straight out of the gate that this is probably the one you should go ahead and buy, because it is a great sole plate for an AG pitch. It's also going to be good enough for an FG pitch. It still gives you a really nice spring back in the forefoot. It's still nice and stiff and stable through the midfoot. You get an additional level of protection. So you have this here, this bumper. Now it's not the same as what you're getting on the carbon. What this is it's just purely for protection. It's there to ensure that you don't get separation. It's not needed. So the carbon, for example, has to have this bumper so that you can bond the boot to the outsole. This doesn't have to have that. It does have it, and it helps keep the upper bonded to the outsole, and it's not going to separate. So many people get onto me at the moment being like, oh, what's the durability like? Why don't boots last? Well, this is absolutely going to help your boot last, and I think that's a good thing. You can then combine that with an extra level of durability in some taping that runs around the toe box here. So this is internal and external, and essentially just gives the front of the boot more structure. So when you play on AG pitches, the abrasion and the heat is really hard, really tough on boots. And Puma have done a phenomenal job here of trying to combat that and give your boots a little bit of extra protection. And if you're looking for additional durability, which in turn generally leads to better value for money, can't really complain. However, once again, you do have that slightly higher toe box because of it, and the boot as a whole doesn't feel quite as nimble as a result. But in terms of what you're going to get, the flexibility it offers and the additional durability, as a pure value for money prospect, most people should probably consider this. Now, you can argue it's not as aggressive, but the majority of people watching this channel, the aggressiveness of the sole plate probably isn't going to make that much of a difference to you. It might be a nice feeling, and if that's the case, fine, go for it. But for most people, the conical stud pattern's absolutely fine. Like, it's not really a problem. So I would definitely say to you to consider this. The best boot is going to be this one because of that toe box. That's probably the best boot. The most logical choice is this one, and then this one is very expensive and very special, and I love it so very much. Check out my full review of it right here, or this one just here, or probably another comparison one over here somewhere. Pick one of these. It's moving. Pick one. Pick one before I go. Your choice. Which one do you want?